In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how to build your own custom turbo intake. Let's figure this out together. Let's go. Welcome back. If you're new to the channel, I'm Matt. I think one of the easiest things to do that will give me a little bit of practice with welding aluminum is the intake. Let's get rid of the stock stuff. And we need to shorten this down at some point because I did lengthen it. So for now, we'll just rope it on over here. Oh, why'd you fall down there? Not gonna make it easy, are you? There we go.
Extra space to do activities.
All right, we got this little reducer, which will take the hose clamps off of. And even though we do need to modify this, I have a sneaking suspicion I can squeeze this past and mock it up for now. Voila. And the air filter I got, I've heard some pretty good things about them. Apparently it's just as good as a K&N. Pretty nice construction. I think it was like 25 bucks, maybe even 35. I don't know, I don't remember. So here's our bell mouth. I'll squeeze this dude on in there. I had a flathead to tighten this up with. Okay, different Phillips head, or flathead, excuse me. I guess a Phillips would have been fine. Just snug her up. She'll live somewhere right about here. And we'll just toss that there for now. And we'll take this reducer, which takes us from 3.5 down to 2 3/4. And we just need a little 45 there, which I got the sleeve. Nice polished piece here. Might have to polish the rest of it just so it looks as good. And it will be a little something like so. One of the things, aside from the bell mount, that I'm using in order to help straighten the airflow is this honeycomb thing. I'll leave a link down where I got it. It's just basically an airflow straightener. So I need to pull that out and then we'll make a couple marks and we'll cut this thing down. I'm guesstimating right about here. And right about there. It's a pretty tiny piece. Of course I dropped the lead to that. All right, that should be a good guideline. Let's cut this thing down on the good old trusty workbench. It's a tiny piece after all that. Now we just need to get this thing flat. Well, she's about as square and flat as I'm gonna be able to get it with my equipment. Let's see how she fits up. Not bad. Because this is 3 inches and this is 3 1/4, or excuse me, 2 1/4, I'll probably have to take a coupler, put it around here and squeeze that bitch on in, and I'll weld some beads here just to keep the thing from moving. I think she's lining up pretty nice. Imagine we'll probably have to make something to, I still do want to do that shield, so we'll have to figure that out. I imagine that will hold it pretty securely. I guess we should probably see if the hood will close. One-handed. I guess we'll find out if it's smashing it, huh? Yeah, looks good to me. Seems like there's plenty of clearance. Don't really see it smashing into this insulation here, which I plan on taking off anyways. Nice. Went ahead and squeezed in a 2.5 inch coupler in there. It was a pretty tight fit, but now she's just hanging out. I'm like trying to figure out whether it's bottoming out on anything. It's sitting on top of that mount, but it looks pretty dope. Here's the other little piece of the puzzle, which is a mass airflow sensor mount for 2 3/4, in which this dude will probably sit. We'll figure that out. I might toss it up here once I got this all welded up. We'll see, because I just need to do a little research, see what will work best. Maybe here? Seems like the straightest shot past it. I would get rid of the whole mass airflow, but it's easy to tune with it, and I do plan on VE tuning as well. However, I'm pretty certain that the intake temperature sensor is part of the mass airflow sensor, which affects quite a bit of the performance and accesses some tables based on what air temps it is seeing. So we might toss it like right about there somewhere, just like so. And this honeycomb thing would either sit here. I'll have to figure that out. Who knows? I might have to move this thing down a little bit. We shall see. Now we just need to weld this up, and at some point I will make that kind of air dam or heat blocker, whatever you want to call it, almost kind of box it in a little bit, kind of like something like this. I did run to Harbor Freight and got some 5356 welding rod, and I was ready to get after it. However, I was going to try and use this adapter here, which works fine for the Jegs TIG, which runs off of 110 and 120. However, I imagine they probably have that wired a little bit differently than this machine because it's just meant to run off of 220. There was a 220 plug in here at some point, but it's not the same plug as what's on that. There's many different configurations. I wired this thing up myself. I just hardwired it, this compressor. It's a 50 amp circuit breaker. We can just take this little panel off right here, wire in a plug. While I'm not using that plug, this will stay on as usual, and I can turn this off while I'm using that. Something else I need to get, but it's getting late and I can't grab it today. So we'll just have to pick it back up tomorrow. We'll kind of get into welding with this piece here. I'm thinking I can weld some of the underside to get the hang of it. I'm not trying to exactly go for pretty welds, but if I can, you know I'm gonna try. So let's pick this up tomorrow. It is the next morning, and now I just need to get after wiring up this receptacle. Went and got a welder receptacle, and I'm gonna, and we're just gonna tap it right on in there. Lots of fun. Power's off, tested everything. Compressor's on and it's below its value when it normally turn off. Got my little test pin doodad. Looks like we're a-okay. Just gotta squeeze back there and do it. Well, our outlet is all installed. Let's turn her on and see if anything sparks. Moment of truth. Oh yeah, let's see if we can run ourselves a practice bead. Well, it is later in the day. I've got some practice under my belt. Let's take a look at some of the results. Now, this thing is still piping hot. All right, so this first piece was what I was welding earlier. I just could not get the arc to stay stable. And so what I ended up doing was changing to this gas lens, refilled the bottle just to make sure we have plenty of gas. The second piece here is the results after those two changes. This was just me kind of snoozing on the thing, and this is when my arm was on this piece of metal, and I kind of shocked myself a little bit. Not too badly, just a little zap. Not completely awful. There are some sections where we're starting to stack some dimes. And then I figured, I was like, hey, let me see if there's any difference. I'm welding up to two butt joints, and by this point it had already dipped the tungsten in the aluminum. I probably should have went back, sharpened it, cleaned this up. It doesn't look fantastic, but I don't have a whole lot of pieces to practice butt welding. It is a little bit different than just welding on top of this tubing, so we'll just kind of, at least we're with the intake where it's nothing super vital. It's nothing that's gonna be under boost. I'll vacuum. And I've been paying attention to the penetration that I've been getting. If I'm too hot, there's some sections where it's like right here, this weld. You know, the settings were pretty good, but that's when we had the other tip in there and probably not enough gas. I feel comfortable enough that I know this is gonna weld together. It might not be the prettiest thing, but it's all part of the learning experience. So let's go ahead and weld up this intake and we'll do the best we can. Let's degrease our spots that we're gonna weld up. Make sure it's nice and clean. I just got some tape holding this in place. Squeak. All right. Hopefully we can tack this together without too much issue. Here goes nothing. Here's how we turned out. Didn't look awful. You can tell that's where my tack weld started. Kind of got away from me a little bit right there. But I think the nicest looking part is here, so I'm putting that up towards the top. Got this next piece kind of taped off. We'll just tack it again and we'll keep on trucking. There we go. This is how we're looking. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. I started practicing this morning and I think I'm only gonna get better as we go. So now I need to kind of grind down some of these welds so I can stick this on here, and then we'll have to cut a slot for the mass airflow sensor. So let's take our workbench outside and get to work. Here are the little areas that I need to grind down and then where I need to cut the hole. I'm just gonna take a cutoff wheel and make a slot for it. And then that mark there, that mark over there, we'll just grind that down so the mass airflow bung will seat down. And this is the direction that it needs to go in, like so. Here's the shape of the mass airflow. So we just need to make sure. Now we can just cut a triangle, or excuse me, a rectangle in order to squeeze this guy in. Let's go to town. Get out of there. Let's get rid of some of these welds so we can mount this thing flush. Let's go ahead and tack her in. Want to make sure this slid in nicely. We'll just give her a couple tacks and completely weld it up. Let's tack her on in. All right, let's do a little bit of a zigzag pattern on this one. Here we go. Here's what she looks like. You know, I'm pretty happy with that. It's not the prettiest. What's up, Apollo? But I'm happy with the way it turned out. Got a little nasty right there. I don't know what it was burning off, but it's welded up nice. That it will leak. Now we just need to go through. I'm going to clean up that booger there and then clean up this part of it here where I trimmed it out with the grinder. So let's go ahead and do that. We got her all nice and roughed out. Got rid of any bumps, steps in the transitions. So now I'm gonna take some of those cartridge rolls over there that we use to port and polish the cylinder head with, and we'll smooth it up. We're almost finished. I just need to put a couple welds on the end here just to sort of have something to clamp onto. But check out the inside of this. Not exactly the prettiest thing, but we did manage to knock those bumps down, and we got a nice transition in there. At least the best to my abilities. Yeah, it works pretty good. There we go. We got a couple beads on it just to hold it in place. I think that's all it's going to take. I've done pretty well with keeping control, especially getting so close to the end. The only place where it really started kind of coming through is right there. I can hardly feel it. There's that little nugget there, but I don't think that's going to hurt anything because it is necking down to about 2 1/4. This is 2 3/4, and this is right where the turbine of the turbos are going to be at anyway. So let's go ahead and toss her in the car and see how it looks.
Like what you would buy from a store.
Well, I think she looks pretty dang good. We'll have to save until another video. We'll have to modify this. We'll shorten down the wire that goes to the MAF sensor, and we'll build ourselves a shield. The shield this thing completely off from all the heat, so that way it will only draw cool air from down in that hole. So be sure to subscribe. There's much more to come. In the next video, we'll start working on the intercooler piping while we have this welder. Until next time, peace out with you. Peace out.